Hello, and welcome to the Crap My Kids Say podcast. My name is Dylan, and this is my co-host and lovely wife,
Jessica. Okay, so today we are going to talk about Stranger Things 3, the third season. We have not talked about this yet. We just finished it. It's fresh in our minds, but we have not had any conversations about it yet. We've made notes, and so we've saved them to talk about it right now. So everything you hear is our reactions to each other's thoughts.
Okay, so I'll basically start out today. I thought the first two episodes started out really slow and probably could have been cut down and combined into one episode, in my opinion. And that it was a little bit too much teeny drama for my taste.
I liked it, though, because, after the second season ended, everybody thinks everything's fine, everything's okay. It's... they're finally relaxing and thinking everything's okay. And, it's their age. They're at that age, being teenagers now. And so I think it's kind of fun seeing the new dynamics and how they've grown so much since the first season. So I actually really liked it right from the start.
From episode 3 on, I thought was great and mile a minute fun. I'm glad that they didn't have Will in the spotlight as the one in the upside down again or in the crosshairs of the monster. He was not the victim
I know.
Again.
I thought the same exact thing. I was happy that it was finally give Joyce like a break because, it felt like she was going to be on the edge of a mental breakdown. So I was happy about that too. I feel like it would be played out if every season something bad happened to Will. It would just be like over the top and kind of get old real quick.
I was happy this season, as you talked about Joyce, that I went back and rewatched the first couple episodes of the first season again after completing the third season. And Joyce, as her character arc has gone complete 180. From the first season, she was a victim and kind of just lost. In this season, she's a certified badass.
See, from the first season, I liked her, though. I felt like her character was always strong and not necessarily super lost. I think she seems kind of crazy in the first season, but it's her kid, and she has like these superpower mom abilities and she's so dedicated to her children that no matter what anybody says, she's not gonna stray away from that. Even if everyone's like, you're super crazy, she just tunes everybody out and goes with her mom instincts, which I love as a mom.
Yeah. I guess maybe she's just more focused in her how to get stuff done in this season. It seems for me that there is a big character change on her part, that she doesn't seem to be relying on Hopper as much in this season. She's the one getting stuff done, like at the end when they're talking about if she has the job.
As the detective
Joyce.
Yeah.
Or Detective Byers.
Yeah, Detective Byers. Yeah, she was definitely, I think, more assertive. She was able to assert herself a lot more, which I did like. She was like the no nonsense, get stuff done, not take any crap from anybody. And I feel like I agree that she has grown as a character for sure. She's had a good character arc. But I've liked her from the first episode just because of her like stellar mom instincts and how dedicated of a person she is, especially when it comes to her kids. She's the ultimate mama bear.
Well, and you can kind of see it set up in the first season too, that she was in a bad relationship and that was, possibly an abusive towards her with her ex, with the boy's dad. And now you can see she would never be in that situation.
That's true.
Now.
Right. She would never let herself get in that situation because she's such an assertive person now, which I do like. I've like I said, I like Joyce, but I do feel like she has made a lot of improvements from season 1 to now. Okay, so kind of going off of Joyce and like her assertiveness, I really liked all the strong like female characters this season. There was a lot of females that were like strong, independent, like they don't take any crap. For example, like Nancy, she worked for a bunch of misogynists and sexists, and even though she worked for them, she was able to kind of like rise up, do her own thing, take control. And then 11 and Max, Max kind of took her and said, you need to find yourself and not let Mike define you. You need to be who you are. And then again with Joyce being so assertive. So there was like some really strong female dominance there, which I really liked seeing, especially since it was in the 80s and not necessarily a time where women would have been, they're in their own place, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I did like to see that.
Yeah, that was good. All the guys at the newspaper that they worked at were crazy, and seeing Jake Busey like just trying to be his dad, I think, was pretty funny.
Yeah, he was such a douche canoe. Like, I hated him. He was the worst. But
Nancy Drew.
I know, he was out of all of them, he was the worst.
Okay, so something I noticed, and I think it's been throughout the whole series, but this completely has nothing to do with the storyline of the show or anything like that, but I think it adds to the show in its own, is all of the like packaging, and they even threw it in there where they were talking about new Coke and old Coke.
Yeah.
And that all the packaging, I don't know, I wasn't alive in the 80s, so I don't know, but from what I've seen, like this was historical packaging on the Coke cans, on
they had commercials too.
Yeah, and they had commercials. Yeah, and they had the Coke commercial in the first season.
Yeah, which was like era appropriate or whatever.
Yeah, but that's something I really appreciate in the show, that they don't have like a Hershey's bar and a 2019 wrapper and a 19 show set in 1984.
Yeah.
85.
Yeah, and that kind of adding on to that too, one of the era appropriate things is that like the bad guy is the Russians, which was perfect because that
Red
was
Dawn.
Cold War era and all of that, and people hated Russians at that point, and everything bad that happened was the Russians' fault.
Ruskies. It was all the Ruskies.
Yeah, exactly. So that was perfect to be the bad guy in this. I thought it was like time appropriate, era appropriate, however you want to say it.
Yeah. The one thing though is they weren't exactly clear on why the Russians were trying to open the gate.
No,
all they
did
said
not
was
say
that they were trying to open the gate.
And that's it, yeah. But I mean, it sets it up perfectly for season 3 or 4, and they can kind of build off of that. You know what I mean? So I think that they did that, leaving us wanting more and excited to see what happens in season 4.
So I liked that Murray was involved more this season, more than just like one episode. He was in, I think, all of the last 4 episodes.
Yeah, he was in quite a few.
Bald Eagle.
Yeah, I liked him. He added a lot of like comedy to it, and I don't know, just a lot of truth, because I mean, obviously Joyce and Hopper have chemistry and he just straight up calls them out on it and kind of makes them face their emotions
about it. Yeah, and him and the interplay of Hopper and Alexi, Joyce and Alexi, and Murray
yeah.
and Alexei, aka
Smirnoff.
was I think great.
I did too. I liked it.
Not gonna lie, I got teary when Alexei got shot. I was that hurt me deep.
It cut you deep.
It cut me real deep. I really liked Alexei's character.
I did too. I know he was supposed to be one of the Russians and like a bad guy, but you actually grew to really like him.
He wanted to live the capitalist life. He was tired of the socialist life. He wanted his Whoppers and cherry slushies, not strawberry.
Not strawberry. No.
Cherry.
There's a huge difference. Yeah, I did like him. I thought that was good, and Murray just added a lot of comedy to it.
Yeah, because in the second season when he came in, I liked him immediately because he was just a nut job. And like he kind of reminds me of what maybe some of my family was in the 80s, like certain parts of my family, super paranoid, and the Ruskies were everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Had like a billion guns and stuff in the closet. Yeah, that's funny.
12 different locks on the front door.
Yeah. Everyone's listening to you at all times. Yeah, he was paranoid, but I mean, obviously, at this point, he's not that crazy. By the end of it, I mean, there really are Russians and all that crazy stuff. So I guess he's not that crazy.
Right. So you got something?
Yeah. So, kind of going into, I guess, Hopper, since we were just talking about him. I think Hopper looks so rough this season.
Having kids will do that to you, though.
That's true.
He was a single bachelor who was drinking and taking some kind of pills because he was dealing with the loss of his child.
Right.
And so he's all, not skinny. He's still a big guy, but he's not,
He's like easily 210 in the first season.
Yeah. And then he ends up he thinks he's going to be alone, isn't going to have anybody. Well, and then he gets Elle.
That's true.
Has a child again, and they build the relationship. And do I look the same as before we had kids?
I don't think either of us do. But yeah, he just looks, and I know he had to gain weight for Hellboy because he's Hellboy. I think it's coming out this year or next year, but I know he had to gain a ton of I
think Christmas time.
Yeah, ton of weight and stuff. But even just like the 5 o'clock shadow thing going on, and he just looked a lot rougher. Like, I thought he was like an attractive guy in the first 2 seasons, but this season I didn't really think that. I thought he just looked too rough and not really my cup of tea, I guess. I mean, I liked his character, but he definitely was more cynical, which I guess, after the first 2 seasons and all they've been through, and then becoming a parent and having to deal with... Of a teenage
girl.
That's true.
Having to deal with a teenage girl and her first boyfriend.
That's true. He's super cynical and argumentative, but I guess that's understandable.
But it's all just a gruffy exterior. Because
it's true,
at the end,
he
wrote the note to...
He did. And it was all mushy and cute and... Yeah. So, I don't know. He looked a lot rougher. He was more cynical than he had been in the past 2 seasons, I thought.
Yeah, Hopper's still the best. And if he is, spoiler alert, if he is actually dead and is not in season 4 and there is a season 5, I'm not watching it. I have no reason to watch the show without Hopper.
Do we really have to say spoiler alert?
You should.
I guess that if you have to put on a shampoo bottle not to drink it, I suppose we should probably say spoiler alert.
We probably should have said at the beginning spoiler alerts.
Oh, well.
From the beginning of this to the end of this, spoiler alerts.
Yeah, huge spoilers.
So I only really have 2 more things. The first thing is that Susie actually existed.
Yeah, I was happy because Dustin has been shut down by girls. Season 1 and season 2, he's just been shut down by them. Nancy came to his rescue pretty much when they danced at the dance. He got rejected by all the girls, and so Nancy came and danced with him. But yeah, I was happy to finally see him have some sort of romantic chemistry type thing, and their song. Oh my gosh, I loved it. It was so funny. Oh my gosh, hilarious. So talking about Dustin, and kind of when you think of Dustin, you might think of Steve Harrington. So I love Steve Harrington. I love him. In this house, we love and appreciate Steve Harrington. In the first season, when it first started, I so desperately wanted him to be a good guy. I don't know why. I just like had this attraction to him, and I immediately wanted him to be a good guy. And then he
Cradle robber.
You're older than me, so who's really the cradle robber here? At the end of season 1, he was fantastic. In season 2, I mean, that was like peak Steve Harrington. But when we started out in the beginning of the 3rd season, I feel like he wasn't quite living up to season 2 Steve Harrington. But by the end of it, I was back to being like, okay, Steve is amazing. He's the best. I love him. So, but yeah, it started off where it was kind of like, oh man, I wish he was doing more.
Well, I think that's I don't know if it was part of the writing, but if it was, it's genius that he pretty much just peaked in high school, or thought he had peaked in high school.
Right, that's true.
You know,
Because he talks about that.
Yeah, and then it ends up he's working at the Scoops Ahoy.
Yeah, because he couldn't get into college.
Because he couldn't get into college, and he's striking out with all these even like younger girls now.
Right, or girls that knew him in high school and thought he was the bee's knees.
Yeah, and he's swinging and missing now because, you know, he thinks he peaked in high school, and then he kind of turned around and realized he didn't have to be that cliche, and then had to have his heart promptly broken.
Yeah, like immediately.
Gets dosed with truth serum, and then finds out the girl who everyone says, oh, you like her, you like her, you like her. He's like, no, I don't like her. He's like, oh man, I do like her. And she's a lesbian.
Yeah, that kind of stomped on his heart. But he seemed to come to terms with it pretty quickly. Like, he was cool with it pretty, like, not long after she told him that she was not straight and not interested in him.
Yeah, well, I kind of thought throughout the season, I'm like, I think she's not interested in him. But then when the Russians have him, she's talking about how he ate his breakfast bagel, and
it seemed super
I was like,
creepy.
no, wait a minute. And then it comes out that she was actually staring at the girl who was sitting next to him.
Right, and she was jealous.
Jealous of Steve.
Yeah, jealous of Steve because he got her attention.
And he was left bagel crumbs everywhere.
Yeah. So going in, talking about Robin being gay, I'm wondering if next season, or maybe they're just hinting this, if Will is gay. Because when Mike and him got into that fight, he said, it's not my fault. You don't like girls.
And there had been foreshadowing to this all through the first season, that his dad had called him names.
Derogatory names, right.
And then kids called him names.
Yes, the kids called him names. So he's been called those sorts of derogatory terms throughout the entire show at this point. And then, you know, Mike says to him, it's not my fault you don't like girls.
Cue awkward silence.
Right. He doesn't say anything like, oh, yes, I do. You know,
I like girls. You don't like girls.
Right. Exactly. There's no banter between them after that. It's just kind of like an awkward silence. So I'm wondering if maybe they were testing the waters with Robin's character being gay.
Dipping their toes in the water a little bit.
Right. Seeing how people would react, that sort of thing. And then maybe a little bit of foreshadowing about Will's character, but maybe at this point they feel like they're too young of kids to be going kind of into that storyline. Yeah,
and for me, like, kind of the whole boyfriend, girlfriends, and all this stuff, like, that was something in this season that I see where they're going with it. It wasn't my favorite thing in the world, which I already kind of mentioned in the beginning of this, but I just wasn't like, oh my God, are they together? Aren't they? Will they get back together? Will Max and Lucas get back together? Will Elle and Mike get back together?
No, I
That
wasn't
was-
into it like that, but
Yeah.
I wasn't really into that. But it was funny watching those dynamics because you have to think about how were we in middle school?
I know,
How
I
was
just-
middle school life?
I
It
think
was
about them,
pretty
and I think
similar.
about our kids. Like, I think of our kids in like the first 2 seasons. I mean, they're old. They're what would be like 6, 7 years older than what our kids are now in the first season.
Yeah, they're like preteen, tweens.
Yeah. So like my mind makes that leap to like, oh my god, there's these like they were me and my friends in middle
That's
school.
true. You had that group of friends
Yeah,
for sure.
like that was my group of friends. We were all nerds and
Yeah.
goofballs and all this stuff. And I don't know.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I just thought
I'm a
of-
curmudgeon, so I don't.
Yeah, that's true. You're more cynical than I am.
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny and cute and just interesting to see those dynamics change. You just mentioned Lucas. I am so happy Erica was more into it. Her character is hilarious.
You're a nerd.
She's a secret in the closet
She
nerd.
is in the closet nerd. Yeah.
My Little Pony. That was funny.
Yeah. Well, the My Little Pony theory.
Yeah. And that kind of ties back into a strong female character because she's she's really smart and she's like finagling. I want free ice cream for life.
Loves capitalism and hates the commies.
Exactly. So I liked having her there to have that like smart mouth sort of thing.
Oh yeah. It's right up your alley.
Yeah, exactly. So I liked having her in there, and I thought she was funny, and her and Dustin talking, and the banter between them, and how she could not believe that her brother would have any part in the events that took place before season 3.
And the interesting thing was, I think, with the circle widening and of who knows what's going on in this town.
Yes.
Because it went from, just the 3 boys.
Well, I mean, Will knew, but he was.
Yeah, but he was not
in it.
He was in it. The 3 boys knowing, then Hopper and Joyce and Jonathan.
And then Nancy. And then Steve.
And Steve. And then it kind of like, I think last season, it didn't. I mean, you got Max.
And Bill. Well, no, Billy never found
Billy
out.
never found out.
No,
but
it
then
was
you
Max.
had Max. But now you have Erica,
Robin, Murray, Alexi.
Oh,
Well, he was kind of into it. Yeah, that's true. But like the core characters.
Yeah, and the group of our intrepid heroes seemed to grow.
Right.
This season.
Mike's parents are still clueless. Absolutely clueless. Lucas's parents were not even.
Have they even ever showed his parents?
I thought that they showed his mom in season 2. But maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe they didn't.
Because they show Dustin's mom.
Yes.
A
his
couple
mom.
times.
Yeah. But I don't know if they've ever shown Lucas's parents or really even talked about them that much.
Yeah.
Besides, like,
And they
oh,
have,
my
like-
mom's gonna kill me.
And they have both of their kids are just out running
I
the
know.
roads, fighting the
Yeah.
Demigorgon and the Russians.
And they have no idea.
No idea.
No clue.
Like, how long would have Erica been missing? Like,
I
38
thought about
hours,
that.
36 hours?
And no one thought twice
And no
about
one's
it.
like, meh, where's my
Or
8-year-old
Dustin
kid?
even.
Or Dustin.
He was missing, and his mom was apparently not too
Yeah.
concerned about it.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, she was at the mall, and that was like 36 hours ago.
Wonder
Maybe
where
more.
she could be now.
Yeah, maybe even like 48 hours, and the town is destroyed when she shows back up.
Right.
You don't think that's connected?
Yeah, there's no one thinks twice about it, or it seems like parents don't really care that much.
But I think they do that intentionally because I think that's kind of like a stereotype of the 80s.
Right, everything
that-
was so lax.
So lax, and the parents were so clueless and just kind of they were numb from what they were dealing with that they didn't even pay attention to what their kids were doing.
Yeah, that could be. I don't know. We weren't alive in the 80s.
We were,
so.
but from what I hear, what I understand,
All right, let's go back to Nancy really quick. So season 1, I felt bad for Nancy. She was kind of a victim, that sort of thing. It was in the beginning in season 1, it was Steve doesn't deserve Nancy. In the second season, I didn't like Nancy as much. She kind of, I don't know, something about her character, and then it was Nancy doesn't deserve Steve. But this season, I feel like she starts to redeem herself. She's not a victim anymore. She was, more assertive, that sort of thing, going back to what I said earlier. I wish, though, because she has that heart-to-heart with her mom, and her mom says, pursue it, and says, keep going with it, and you can sell your story to the Chicago Tribune or whatever paper she said. I wish that she would have. At the end, I wish that she would have been able to do that, and it would have shown that, like, kicking everybody's butts, like, you guys all doubted me, and now I just sold this
Well, none of them
story.
are left. They're all goo.
That's true.
They're
That's
all
true.
goo. They all got it handed to them.
That's true. But still, I mean,
In
it's
general,
the principle.
the principle of it. Yeah, I get that.
And I would have liked to see that. And then also, I think it is absolutely adorable that her and Jonathan are together in real life. Like, they just got engaged.
Yeah, I didn't know about that till you had said something about that. I didn't know.
They just recently got engaged. So I think that's cute. They play a couple on screen, and then they're really together off screen.
Yeah, I like Jonathan better this season, too.
Yeah, I do, too.
He isn't as mopey.
Yeah, it's kind of like got a cloud over him all the time.
Yeah, he's still, he is kind of just has that, like, dark personality.
Yeah,
But I don't feel like, he's always been that way, but I like, it was, like, to the point of almost being unbearable. It's like, okay, we get it, your life sucks.
You're an emo kid.
Yeah. Your favorite color is death.
Yeah,
Hair flip.
exactly.
But it wasn't as, he was more pragmatic, I guess. I could relate more to his character.
Yeah,
in this
he was
season,
better, definitely.
He just wanted to get his job. He wanted to, take his pictures and all this stuff.
Be left alone.
And be left alone, which I can understand that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I liked that better this season.
Yeah, I did. I do too. I think that he was a better character. I think a lot of them were better characters, just in general. And Billy, he started off typical Billy, the kind of jerk, the steal your wife kind of guy. And he's not very likable in the second season. And, in the beginning of the season, he's not likable. And then obviously he's really, really not likable when he gets taken over by the Mind Flayer and stuff. But at the end, when Eleven appeals to him through his memories of his mom, and he kind of comes back to it and stands up to the Mind Flayer and ultimately gets killed, I genuinely felt...
Sacrificed himself.
Yeah. I felt so sad for him at that point. Like, at that point, after his memories of, how his dad was, he was abusive, and then how his mom, he loved her so much, and then she ran off, and then completely uprooting his life, and then given a new mom and a new sister, and having to, it just was really sad. I was
really happy to get that backstory though.
Oh, me too. Why is he such a douche?
Yeah, the second season I was just like, ugh.
He was such a D, and you don't understand why. But
the one thing that I was waiting for in season 3, and maybe I just didn't catch it, was his dad had said something to him in the second season about, is this going to be a repeat of what happened in California? Maybe I misremembered.
About what?
I don't know. I don't remember. It's when...
I don't remember this happening.
It's when Max disappears.
Disappears.
And his Billy's dad tells him to go look for Max.
Uh-huh.
And it made it seem like something bad had happened that had caused their move from California to Hawkins. And I don't know if, what that was. It kind of left it open-ended, and then we started seeing these memories, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna figure out what this was.
I completely like missed that or forgot about it.
Okay, don't quote me on this. Maybe I'm having a false memory.
Okay, because I don't remember that part at all.
I like, because he beats him up. Remember?
Yeah, he's
and he
abusive.
says,
yeah.
When he says, you're going to find your sister.
Right.
This isn't going to be like California, or this is something along those lines.
Maybe he was not as nice to him in California. Like, I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. So
maybe he feels like he's been nicer to him lately, and if he doesn't act right, he's going to make it worse on him.
yeah, I don't know. We'll have to do some research into this.
Yeah. Well, we're rewatching it too, so we can kind of, when we get to that part in season 2,
Yeah,
maybe we'll catch something
and do a little bit of just a small little catch up on whether I'm having a false memory or not.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that was really, really sad. Like, out of everything that happened, all the sadness, tragedy that happened throughout the season, that was the saddest part for me, was the memories of his mom and how she left him and how he was, left with this abusive D-bag dad. I don't know. That just really hit me harder than everything else. Probably because I'm a mom. And it just really, I don't understand how a mom could ever leave her kids. So and then having to deal with the aftermath. I don't know. It just really, really made me really sad. And I felt so bad for him. And it was, a sad point to see him die at that point.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I was happy about, like you would have thought, because he was the bad guy. But he was very humanized at the end of it.
Yeah.
So. And then Max having to deal with death of her brother, which was a jerk, but she loved him nonetheless. I think that's it, besides for Hopper's death.
Yeah, so...
Supposed death.
We
didn't see him die.
Didn't see him die. And okay, so we're rewatching season 1 right now.
Yeah.
And when... it's not a direct tie, but it's pretty close to each other. So when they find Will's body...
Right, with the stuffing in it.
They start playing Heroes by David Bowie.
Oh, but they played that a couple times before that point in the show. That's kind of a song that they had.
No, that was the first time they played it, was when they found Will's body.
Was it?
Body, quotation marks, body. Yeah.
Right.
So they played that, and then... Which, that song gets me every time. I don't know why. Especially in this show. Every time they start playing this song, I get a lump in my throat. And then the ending of everybody, and then I don't think they play it just after Hop dies.
Yeah.
But then when everybody's packing up and moving on and everything's in, upheaval, they start playing that song. So I don't know if maybe that's a little bit of a... Because they're saying when they played it when Will was dead, and then he came back, and now they're playing it around the time that Hop dies.
Right. It could be, like, I know in Grey's Anatomy they play the same song every single time someone dies, the same exact song. So maybe they're kind of doing that, like the same song, foreshadowing. Because when they start to play that, I mean, I lost interest in Grey's, obviously. Like, I just didn't get into it. But if that song played, you knew that someone was going to die. So maybe it's the same idea.
Isn't it the Sarah McLachlan song?
No, not
for some
the
reason
one
I
with
was
the sad puppies and sad kittens.
For some reason I was thinking that song.
Snow Patrol.
If I stay
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That.
Oh, I'm going to have to edit that out. No, it was under 3 seconds. We're good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one. That Snow Patrol song. Chasing Cars. That's what it's called. Yeah. So that, if anytime that song plays in that show, someone dies for sure. Every time. So maybe it's kind of like that. It's a song that there's, I don't know, like you said, that they're not actually dead.
Because I don't remember. I don't remember them playing that in the second season.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out since we're rewatching it.
Yeah, because that's immediately when they started playing it at the end of this season. I thought back to the first season when they played it when
They found Will.
His
Will.
stuffed body.
Yeah, Will's stuffed
Mannequin body.
Yeah.
Doppelganger.
The stuffed animal Will.
Doppel-Will.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my theory. And
It could be.
and then of course in the credit scene,
The Demodog.
the Demodog. I don't know. I think he was more full on because he stood up and was more man-like. He wasn't full dog.
That's true.
form.
But in the first season, when they deal with the Demogorgon, he doesn't crawl around like that. The
Right,
Demodog in season 2 crawls
Right.
around like that.
Yeah. Well, he like started crawling and then stood up.
So maybe it's showing like the
But
evolution.
they say, not the
from-
American. Get someone else. So
Right. Oh,
maybe-
that's true.
yeah.
Maybe Hopper is there and he's the American.
Yeah, because it never shows, like, you see a bunch of Ruskies running to beside Hopper, and then you see the explosion, but we never see any, like, dusty boots or anything
No,
like that.
there's
So,
no indication like how he was killed or
so
anything
he
like
could have,
that.
like, been blown away from it into that little side hallway thing that everybody was running
that
through.
could be. Yeah.
And then captured and taken back to Mother Russia. That was
Yeah.
a horrible Russian accent.
Yeah, that was really bad. Yeah, because if I'm watching a show, especially a show that has like a supernatural element to it, if I don't see that person die, they're probably not dead.
Even then, sometimes.
I know. Like Supernatural.
Supernatural.
You see Dean die. How many times?
Yeah.
Sam die, and yet they come back.
Every time.
Every time. So, we didn't see him die. So, therefore, he might not be dead.
Right? And I had made a prediction in the beginning of this season that I didn't think Bob was dead. I thought he was in the upside down
that's
still.
Right. Yeah.
I think I'm wrong on that because the way
He might actually be dead for real.
that when like there was a picture that said like Super Bob
Yeah.
on the thing, and then like the magnet started kind of like shaking over Bob's face on the picture, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe it's him like poking from the other side, from the upside down.
But then it turns out the magnet thing
Was because
the
of the
Russians,
Russians.
And I think maybe it's just paying homage to Bob because,
Homage?
yeah, whatever. You can edit that part out.
Oh no, I'm leaving it in.
Yeah, I think it was just, taking the time to remember Bob.
Yeah. Which I'm actually like probably bad for saying this, but I'm kind of glad he didn't come back
Why?
because I want Joyce and Hopper to be together.
Oh, yeah, you ship them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Because
sad, though.
and I don't like the whole lost love triangle aspect that shows do a lot of times. They're like, oh, this person's dead. I'm so in love with them. Now I'm gonna move on. And then that
And then they
person
come
comes back.
back
Oh,
and-
that drives me nuts. That is, I will instantly stop watching a show.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see that. I wouldn't
So-
want to see Bob and Hopper compete for Joyce or Joyce be at
Yeah.
a like crossroads
Yeah,
on
because
who.
obviously Hopper's gonna win.
Yeah, Bob was just too wholesome for Stranger
Yeah.
Things. He was
But-
just too good.
Yeah, but yeah, so
Bob Newby, superhero,
super. So he actually appears to be dead,
for real.
for real dead.
He died so heroically.
Yeah, he saved everybody.
He
so
did. He
It worked
did.
out.
Yeah. So I think that's all I have.
Yep, that's all I have. I made it all the way through my
Yeah,
list
so
on
did
this.
I. So did I. I don't think that I have anything else really to add to this conversation. I think we've covered just about everything.
Yeah, I think we covered all through the season, hit the high points and low
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, for sure.
So, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for listening today. And if you would like to get a hold of us to suggest topics for our show, you can get a hold of us at cmkspod@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear from you. And remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Listening.